Hey everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel, Love for Intuitive Astrology. So welcome to my channel, and if you're new to this channel, my name is Michelle. I'm an intuitive astrologer and I combine my intuition with astrology. However, in this video, I'm just going to talk about astrology, and I want to discuss this minor planet, also called comet of Chiron. And I'm gonna look into it a little bit in general, so what this wounded healer does for you in general, and then I will go through all the signs, okay? So I will discuss the first house until the 12th house, and also if it's in the first house, I will discuss it as Chiron is in Aries. So what you can do, and this is a little fun puzzle, is you can check in your own natal chart where you have Chiron. So for example, in my chart, I have Chiron in Cancer. So I would look at Chiron in Cancer in the 4th house. And then I would also look at Chiron in Scorpio in the 8th house, okay? When you put those two together, you have a more or less an overview of how it is in your life. What are your core wounds? What are your inner traumas? Because Chiron really has to do with everything that kind of hurts in your life, okay? A little bit of a feeling of this is an area in your life where you feel like it's never good enough. There's a feeling of inadequacy, right? And as painful as it is, this is also a very healing minor planet, okay? It can really show you in which areas you're gonna have to be patient with yourself. You're gonna have to be really nice to yourself. And it will take a long time to really put this wounding into place, okay? I'm not here to sugarcoat everything, but I want to help you understand yourself. This channel is really focused on self-development and self-understanding so you can grow spiritually, because that's ultimately the goal of astrology, right? So Chiron has been a very recently added minor planet, and it was actually discovered in 1977 by an astronomer named Charles Kowal. I hope I say it right, Kowal. And it was actually at first classified as an asteroid, but later on it was seen as a dwarf planet, and then as a minor planet, and also a comet, because it had a lot of qualities of a comet. So in the end, it doesn't matter what it's classified as, but it really has a huge impact on your life and your natal chart. And a lot of investigations have been done, and they really see how it resonates with people in their lives, right? And they called it Chiron because of the centaur from Greek mythology. And this centaur Chiron actually was someone that had woundings himself, right? Half human, half horse. And even though was not able to heal himself, could heal others. And this is because there is an understanding of a certain wound, which can make you very wise, which can make you a teacher, which can make you a healer. So it is an area in your life where you have a lot of compassion for other people. And sometimes pain can push you towards a place in your life where you need to be, right? Because when everything is going well all the time, you will not do certain things. Like if I didn't feel uncomfortable in my own family situation, I would have never traveled a lot. I would have never had my spiritual awakening. I would have never learned about astrology. I would have not been who I am today. And this is what Chiron does. It brings you pain, which can lead to you having more compassion. Because if we have not experienced pain if we have not experienced unfairness in life, you would become either very mellow, or maybe you could become very selfish because you cannot relate to other people. And the way you relate is very often through maybe shared pains, or you can understand when someone is going through a difficult time, because of course we want to have always positivity around us, and that's the goal. But how can you become the best version of yourself is to really dive deep within yourself and embrace these pains, these core wounds that you have, most likely coming from your childhood. Okay, most of them come from childhood, some of them come from past lives. It's a feeling of, in this area, it's just difficult. Like it feels like I can never do enough. Okay, it's just a painful situation. So Chiron is in each sign for about 8 years, but it really depends. Okay, because it can go slower or faster, but the average is 8 years. And for all the signs, so to go around all the 12 signs, it will take around 49 years. So that's a pretty long time. So you have almost a whole generation with the same core wound, but then in different houses, right? So you can check these combinations to see how it applies to you. So yeah, I guess I'm ready to go through each and every single house. I hope it gives you some clarity on how you can be more patient with yourself and really not be too hard on having a certain lack, because the beauty is that we all have an area in our lives where we're really good at, or we have something that we shine at, and we have some of our weaknesses. But our weakness can be turned into our strength. And this is how you can teach people, right? Like most therapists today have been through certain wounds, or people who have dealt with addiction became a helper in other people's addiction because they understand the journey. So I see Chiron as something really beautiful. I see it as something that really makes you as a person, that gets you out of your comfort zone and to really dive deep and to bring compassion to this world. So let's start with Chiron in the first house, or having Chiron in Aries. And when you look at the first house, it's really related to your identity. So with Chiron there, it feels almost like this inadequacy, like who you are is not good enough. So some of you will try to mask a different persona because you feel like that's what other people want from you. It could be that you become kind of a people pleaser. You want to accommodate other people because you feel like you have to step out of your identity to please others. It's also very much related to people who have been bullied in school, or who feel like their body or who they are. So it's also related to the physical, right? Like I'm not skinny enough, I'm not thick enough, my body just doesn't do what I want it to do. There might be some kind of insecurity when it comes to your identity and your physical body. And Aries usually is a sign that takes initiative. It steps forward, it's a leader, it's impulsive, it's brave. And when you have Chiron here, it's like you feel like a leader, but you don't know how to step up. You don't know how to take this initiative, how to take this next step. So it's almost like a little bit of a fight with yourself. Like, I can do it. And then the next time you're like, maybe I'm not good enough, because you look at the other people and they seem so effortless in who they are, in their identity. And you feel like you have to put on a persona sometimes to present yourself in this world, or you have to overly give yourself away. So for you, it's very important, because we can talk about the woundings, but through every pain, there's a solution, right? And for you, it's so important to start being nice to yourself, to give yourself words of affirmation, like I am beautiful, I am brave, I am courageous, I am good enough the way I am beautiful the way I am. And this is how you can work with your inner healer. And you could almost be someone to help others become comfortable in their own skin, like a coach, or like training others to become a leader, because you know what is holding you back from you becoming a leader. So you can help others to become their full self. You know where the pains are, so you can really help others overcome that. Okay, so this is a general interpretation of Chiron in the first house. Keep in mind, it's general. I also do private readings. You find my email in the description box below. And if you want to support my channel, grow this community and help people be aware of astrology, intuition, and empower themselves, then, you know, spread the word. And I hope to see you next time. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next house. So the second house, Chiron in the second house, or Chiron in Taurus. And the second house has to do with your self-worth. It has to do with materialism. It has to do with money. So in a way, you feel that you are not worthy of earning a lot of money. And even if you have money, it's somehow painful to have it. It's like, I can lose this any moment. Am I worthy of getting this money? Am I worthy of receiving these material gifts? So maybe someone is giving you a gift and you're really feeling that they shouldn't have done that. So for you, it's very important that you start to learn also how to receive, and especially when it comes to the earthly plane. So let people bring you a meal or cook you a meal, okay? And also it's about your own self-worth. So putting a higher price on your work, for example, not underselling yourself. So having a job and accommodating others because you're thinking that, you know, I've been poor, so I can understand when you don't have money that you cannot afford my service, so I will price it much lower, okay? And that's beautiful. I mean, you can make a program where you have something based on, for people, a cheaper version or a more expensive version. But when you look at my channel, I give, for example, a lot of free information away. And if people want a private reading, then it will cost more. And this is for the ones that can afford it. So make sure that you don't undersell yourself and that you really understand the value of who you are and what you have to share with this world, your gifts, because Taurus is ruled by Venus. This is also art. So if you feel that you can only create art through pain, or that you are not good enough, or, you know, you stop going after your talents because you feel that there's always more to learn, there's always more to do before you are worthy of money, or worthy of owning your own car, owning your own house. And it's very important for you to cook yourself beautiful foods, because then you're nourishing your body and you're telling it like, hey, I am worthy of this beautiful meal. I have to really take care of myself because I am a very valuable person. And you're gonna have to be very patient with yourself. And even though if you have money, that you always have this fear of losing it, and maybe not daring to share your money with other people, or sharing everything with other people, because you feel like there's always people who have less. So you have to find a midway between overspending and underspending, okay? A natural give and take when it comes to money. Okay, so this is Chiron in the second house and Taurus. Let's talk about third house and Chiron in Gemini. So this has to do with the way you communicate. You might feel that you are not adequate enough to study something that you want to study. You could have had a lot of problems in your childhood related to your primary school. Maybe you felt that you had a fear of failure, that you felt like, okay, I'm not able to remember all the words, I'm not able to communicate well the way other people communicate. So you might end up being very shy or overly speaking and not knowing when to stop. And then people don't acknowledge you, and it becomes this self-fulfilling prophecy, like, why are people not interested in me or in my knowledge? And the moment you're gonna feel that the way you communicate is valuable and the way you communicate is worthy of you being acknowledged, and that you can remember things and that you can study, you can help others overcome these obstacles as well. So maybe you could be dyslexic, right? This could be a very, this is a prominent position for people who are dyslexic, who have trouble maybe reading or remembering. And you can help others overcome this as well, or find something that helps people who have the same as you. So it's also related to your siblings. So it could be that you and your siblings are not having a really good relationship. You feel that you always have to take care of a sibling, maybe because they have an addiction or they are sick and you are ill and you have to take care of them a lot, or simply because they are in need of more help than you, in whatever reason that, for whatever reason that may be. It's also related to your transport. So it's like you want a car, but somehow it just never comes, or the car breaks a lot, and you just can't understand why the transport situation is not happening well. For you, it's super important to pay attention in the car, to really be in your body. And you know, you will see people that have a fear of driving with Chiron in the third house, or Chiron in the third house, right? It's like you fear being on the highway or being in transport, and that's preventing you from traveling. So it might be that you don't travel a lot because you're afraid to get in the car. And maybe you like to go with the plane and you will go abroad, but you will not step in the car yourself, or you have to drive with other people. At the same time, these are your neighbors. So it could be that you have neighbors that are very loud, or you have lived next to neighbors that are super loud, and they really made your life very difficult. And it was a very unfair situation, especially if you have bought a house. It's very difficult to deal with neighbors that also have bought their house. So there might be some miscommunications happening, or problems speaking up in general as well, not just to your neighbors, but also to your siblings and to the people out there in your work, that you feel that you prefer to be silent than to speak up. Okay, so these are situations that can happen with Chiron in Gemini in the third house. Of course, this is general. If you want to book a private reading with me, you find my email in the description box below. Subscribe to my channel so we can spread my channel and we can become a beautiful community focused on self-growth, self-worth, self-love, and all those things. So thank you so much. I hope to see you next time. Let's move on to the next one. Chiron in the fourth house, or Chiron in Cancer. And this is kind of a really painful situation where you feel that your family has not nurtured you enough, and most specifically related to the mother, because fourth house in Cancer is very much related to the mother. It's ruled by the moon, which is emotions. So there is a wounding in maybe they couldn't really take care of you, or maybe you had to take care of your mother, or you had to take care of your family. And it felt like you have this wound within you that's not healed. Like you wish someone would take care of you or be there for you when you were younger. And it's almost like this keeps going until older age, where you always feel that you have to be there for others, overly giving, and you become this healer when it comes to nurturing. You become very nurturing because you know that you lacked it. And it's almost like you had to find many years to figure out, how can I nurture myself and how can I nurture others? And it's maybe through your own family when you're older that you realize, like, it's difficult, but at the same time you don't want to create the same wounding, so it might result in overly giving. So be aware that you don't overly love, overly nurture, and forget about yourself. So it's definitely about an unfair situation in your family, especially with your mother or a mother figure in your life that maybe wasn't as caring, as warm as you would like her to be. And it results in this, maybe you were looking for validation from the outside world. You were looking for people to take care of you. And you end up in the wrong relationships because you want your partner to nurture you. And because you became so overly nurturing, what happens is that you attract, very often opposites attract. So if you are very nurturing, you attract someone that's not. So if you become more inward and you start to nurture yourself, you will attract someone that mirrors that. So it's more about also taking care of you. And when you put this energy within and become this feminine aspect within yourself, and even if you're a man, that doesn't matter, you can still bring this warmth to yourself by taking a bath, by swimming, by just treating yourself really well, having good foods, nurturing yourself, and as a woman, it's so important that you're gonna carry these aspects within you. And there will always be a level of unfairness because something was missing when you grew up. But at the same time, the more you start to nurture yourself and being sweet to yourself, this is when people will give you this nurturing qualities that you were so looking for. And you will stop putting other people in a nurturing role to fill up this gap within yourself. Okay, so this is very deep. This is a very deep concept, and it's really gonna change your life when you start to really love yourself and nurture yourself the way you have missed that. So not running to others to please others, but to go within and to really allow yourself to feel at home, because the fourth house is your home in your own body. And a literal, on the physical sense, it can also mean that you have trouble with your house. Maybe there were some unfair situations when it comes to your housing situation, like, I don't know, the contract was wrong, or you've been living with roommates that were difficult to deal with, or when you moved in with your partner, it was just very difficult to maintain your stability, because the fourth house is all about your stability and feeling safe. Safety is so important. Do I feel safe with myself? Do I feel safe with other people? Can I spend time alone and feel completely safe with that idea? So these are some things that can come up with Chiron in Cancer and Chiron in the 4th house. Of course, this is a general reading. If you would like to book a private reading with me, you find my email in the description box below. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. Let's move on to the next sign of Leo. Leo in the 5th house. Chiron in Leo, Chiron in the 5th house. That's what it is. I'm a little bit slow today. But I'm just gonna embrace it, and you know, I really wanted to make this video because I think it's gonna have such a high impact on you, as Chiron really can help you understand yourself better. So when we have Chiron in Leo or in the 5th house, it's really related to your childhood, your inner child. So maybe you felt that as a kid you couldn't fully express yourself. Because Leo wants to express, it wants to almost show off, but in a nice way. Like, look at me, I'm creative, I'm acting, I'm writing, I want to show the world how beautiful life can be. And it's almost like Chiron brings this unfairness. Like, maybe you grew up in a family where you weren't allowed to express yourself that way. You weren't allowed to go sometimes over the top, be creative, have hobbies that you wanted to have. It was like, okay, maybe strict parents, or you were not really seen, because with Chiron in Leo, it's often that you are not validated or seen and not acknowledged. So it's almost like the way you are is not good enough, because Leo is ruled by the sun, which is your identity. So your identity could have been taken for granted. You were not really noticed or seen. And this is why sometimes you have trouble stepping up as a leader, because Leo can be a true leader, and it's a leader from the heart. It comes from a lot of passion, and you might feel like it's not like what your heart wants, you shouldn't follow. So you will doubt yourself, like, you know, this is what I have to do. I learned, so you're gonna be in your head and thinking, this is what I have to do in order to make money, or I have to take care of the kids, and I have to forget about myself. Because this is also overly giving with Chiron for your own kids. You will do so much for your children, and you forget about your own hobbies, your own desires, your own self-expression. You just forget about yourself. And this is going to be for you to dive into yourself and to find out, how can I express my identity? How can I, this could be through dancing, through writing, how can I show the world my creativity? And 5th house is also related to romance. So you feel that you have to give so much to someone when you meet them that you almost like give yourself away. And this can end up into people leaving you because you really want this relationship to work out. And when there is this desperate need, like, I need this to work out, I need this to work out, the other person is like, okay, this is too easy, and they will walk away. So it is about finding this inner security that you are good enough. And also it's important to express yourself, because when you don't express yourself well, it is confusing in a relationship, because people see you differently than from what you actually are. And then you will meet someone that again did not fall in love with your self-expression, did not fall in love with who you actually are. And this is creating this wound within yourself. Okay? So this is a general description of Chiron in Leo and Chiron in the 5th house. Of course, this is a general reading. You can find my email in the description box below to look at your whole birth chart, or you can check out my website, the types of readings I offer. So thank you for watching. I hope to see you next time. Let's move on to the 6th house. So Chiron in the 6th house or Chiron in Virgo. And here we have someone very critical. Virgo is a very critical sign. So you will always feel like you didn't do enough. I should work harder. I should work out more. I should do more because I didn't do enough work. This is someone who will overwork and feel like it's still not done, still feeling that there's more to do. This could also result in not working out at all because you feel like you can't do it. You don't have the capacity to do it, or you don't have the capacity to do a certain job. So it will result in two extremes, either not working at all or not working out at all, or doing too much. This can create also cleaning, addiction, OCD, because you feel that your house is never clean enough. So you will keep cleaning. You will see something on the floor and you will have to remove it, and it will take away the enjoyment of life. Because on its highest quality, Virgo loves learning. Virgo loves communicating. And when you don't trust and don't feel like it's ever good enough, whatever you know, whatever you learn, it's really hard to step forward. And this is how you are being taken for granted by people. It's like you are a little bit of a doormat, right? And I'm a Virgo, so I know in general that I really fall myself short in many ways. So when you also have Chiron there, it's like you feel that you don't deserve much. You work hard without any acknowledgement. It's even more. Also with your health, it's very important for you to eat very healthy, but not to the extreme that you control yourself so much. So have a healthy diet that feels nourishing, and tell yourself that really you are good enough and you know enough. And it's okay to fail, because you will see a typical fear of failure here. Feeling that you don't know enough, you are not smart enough, and you feel that you have to overly show everyone how much you work, and nobody notices because you don't speak up about it. Because Mercury, it's ruled by Mercury, speaking. And even though Gemini is also ruled by Mercury, it's a different kind of energy. It's more social, whereas Virgo is about learning, analyzing details. So maybe you're uncomfortable with details. You don't want to look at it. And it's also a placement where you see that people can create problems with their weight. So they're either restricting themselves from eating, or they're overweight. So it's so important to heal this wounding. You are good enough, and to nurture your body with sports, with healthy food, but not to the extreme. And that you don't do tasks for everybody in the job. Don't do everything in the home. If you are a stay-at-home dad or mom, that you don't clean everything so the other person doesn't have to do anything anymore, okay? Or even if you're working and doing all these things, don't overly do everything for everyone, because it's impossible and it will lead to health problems, okay? Because Chiron in Virgo can lead to health problems, migraines. It can lead to a lot of overthinking and burnout. So be very aware, okay? That's my message for you. This is a general description. You can book a private reading with me by emailing me, that you find in the description box below. Subscribe to my channel so we spread the word and help people heal themselves. I'm a good example of the wounded healer myself. I had to go through many things, and it led me to helping others and getting my spiritual awakening. So I cannot take full credit, because some messages are from astrology and others are from my guides. So hope to see you next time, my dear Chiron in Virgo, or in the 6th house. So let's move on now to Chiron in Libra, or Chiron in the 7th house. And this is really a painful aspect when it comes to love, when it comes to committed relationships. There is a feeling of inadequacy and a feeling of low self-worth, like I can never attract the person that I would like to have. So some of you are staying away from relationships completely because you have such bad experiences in relationships. You will attract people that need a lot of your love, that need a lot of your care. So you are overly extending yourself to the other person. This is an aspect where you either attract maybe people with substance issues, or people who are very narcissistic and are unanswering you your love. Actually, it's like unrequited love. It can also result in abandonment issues or fear of abandonment. And that creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. So maybe you're so afraid someone's leaving, even if you have a very healthy person that wants to be in a relationship with you, you will start really being so scared that they will abandon you, that you will just submit and you will just give and submit and give, and the other person will lose love for you. And the more they lose love for you, the more you give and give and give. So for you, it's a very beautiful message to find, because Libra is about balance. First, you have to find this balance within yourself. Love yourself so much that you don't feel you have to overly extend to the other person. Being you is enough. It's about give and take. And you are just a giver. Give, 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 give. And you have to learn to sit back, relax a little bit, and to let people give to you. And this is what a relationship is about: give and take. So with this placement, you might on its highest level, you can meet someone who's also very self-aware, also very spiritual, and you are literally a healer for the people you are in a relationship with. So it's almost like a classic, this person left me and immediately got with someone they wanted to be with. And that's because you taught them a lesson. And this is very painful for you, because you feel like I gave so much and this person didn't want to have kids or didn't want to have that, and then meet someone else and they do want all these things with that person. So the person they've met were probably more in alignment with themselves. And this is your lifelong lesson, is to value yourself, to love yourself the way you are, and integrate masculine and feminine, to give and to receive, and not to either be too much in your feminine and be so like submissive, or to be too much in your masculine and only provide, give, 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 and not receive anything. So it's like breathing in, breathing out, give and take. And the same here applies to business partnerships. I would not recommend working together with someone with this placement, because, you know, it just brings a lot of difficulty in a business partnership. Unless you are both in the healing fields, then it could work, but still the relationship between you two could be very painful. And it's like, for you, being in a relationship, even romantic as well, can be very painful experience until you find a way to really love yourself. And it would be very good for you to either go into therapy or to start doing things that you love. So you will close the gap of, you know, this need to be loved, because it's never answered. And it's never answered because people subconsciously feel that you want them to love you. And you're such a beautiful person, you know, so people start to love you when you love yourself. And this is your key. And I really genuinely want you to be happy, because you're so deserving of that. And everybody deserves their happiness. And it's not that it can never happen with Chiron in the 7th house. Or that you can never find happiness in a relationship. Everything can be changed through energy. So work on your masculine and feminine energy, your balance, your self-love, and you will be rewarded with a beautiful relationship. Okay? this is my message for you. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel. Leave a comment below how this resonates with you. And I also do private readings. You find my email in the description box below. So let's move on to the next house and sign. So Chiron in the 8th house or Chiron in Scorpio. And this is very much related to transformation. This creates a lot of pain that is gonna be brought to you when you are going through these transformations. And you will have to go through them. It's about betrayal. It's about suspicion. So you have a natural suspicion towards people, but at the same time, it's this suspicion is answered by betrayal. It's like you have been betrayed maybe by many people, because subconsciously, maybe you were betrayed when you were younger, and subconsciously you are attracting similar people that are repeating this cycle. Okay? And this can be betrayal in love. This can be, and this is very painful, but yes, this is a placement of sexual abuse. So there are people who have been abused sexually, mentally, and they really have this wounding. Like, how can I ever trust someone in a sexual relationship? How can I ever be intimate with someone? How can I share my vulnerabilities? So you will maybe either overshare and tell people everything what you're feeling. Oh, hi. It's my cat. Hello, sweetie. Look at her. Yeah, you can also get a pet when you struggle with vulnerability because they're so cute. So this is really a painful placement because there is something that happened to you in your childhood and it makes you distrust other people. And it's all the time being answered by subconsciously attracting these people. And it's a cycle that you're going to have to break. It's about abuse. It's also very, this situation is not good for taking on loans, because 8th house is related to other people's money. So inheritance, a loan. So really, like, it can give trouble with certain inheritances, like unfairness. It can bring painful experiences with a joint account in marriage. So if you divorce, maybe the money is not equally divided, or you just give everything away because you don't want to deal with it. And it's just not a good place. If you give people money, there's a really big chance that you won't get it back. Or if you give people money, it's like painful to you. You don't want to give people this loan. So unless you are not expecting it back, I would not give people loans, or even if they are planning to pay it back, because with Chiron here, there will be an experience of unfairness. There may be delays in them paying you back, and it will just be very uncomfortable experience. So it's really all about loving yourself, not feeling afraid to be vulnerable with people in relationships, and also be vulnerable and open and honest to yourself. It's about your inner shadow work, because it might be so painful and uncomfortable to go there that you might avoid it. So for you, it's very good to go to a therapist, to go to a healer, whatever helps for you, to make yourself, to understand yourself and your shadow aspects, and also acknowledge that what happened to you was unfair, but the new people that are coming in your life are not responsible for what happened to you. So you're gonna have to learn how to trust. So trusting yourself and being very grounded is so important, and also trusting other people. But you have to have good boundaries. So don't let people in too fast, because then it keeps repeating this cycle. So have good boundaries, take it slow, because Scorpio is intense, it wants fast relationships, fast everything, and because of the passion they feel. So step into a relationship slowly, step into friendship slowly, and this will avoid this cycle to keep repeating itself. Get your papers, your taxes always in order. I have this aspect, and I had a lot of problems with accountants that were not doing my accountancy well. So, you know, you might have this kind of trouble, or a court case that's just really unfair, like, or a divorce that is just difficult, and you would be just giving everything away. So you're gonna have to listen to your intuition, because people with Chiron here are natural healers, very intuitive, can really tune into other people, their pains. These are often people that either had to deal with addiction themselves and then work with people who also have addiction or abuse, whatever that abuse may be. So you will see these people healing other people, going into the healing fields as maybe a therapist or some type of healer. At the same time, this placement, as weird as it may sound, if you are, and I've experienced this myself, it could be that you are experiencing supernatural things when you were younger and you were really scared of that. So there is this kind of also fear of death, what comes with it. So could be that you experience an early death or a near death experience with Chiron in the 8th house or Scorpio, and there's somehow a fear of it because you experienced something scary and it kind of came with you. So it's like a part of your life to understand that things end, so relationship end, but also life ends at some point. So this is about healing this part of you, that transformation is part of life, and you know, you're gonna have to acknowledge that an ending is there for everyone. Okay, so this is my message for everyone with Chiron in Scorpio, Chiron in the 8th house. Okay, if you like this video, subscribe to my channel so we can spread awareness and people can empower themselves, heal themselves. And also I do private readings. You find my email in the description box below. And I thank you so much for being here. So let's move on to Chiron in Sagittarius, or Chiron in the 9th house. So when Chiron is in the 9th house, very often seen is that maybe you grew up with a religion that you are not comfortable with, or with maybe you grew up as an atheist and you're not comfortable with it. But this is a placement where you can be very sensitive to cult leaders or religious leaders that maybe are making you feel very small. So be aware that you do not submit your belief system in a person. And I really want to tell you this. You submit your belief system in God, in the universe. You directly there, because with this placement you might be misled into a person that is leading an organization that have their own egocentrical expectations, and they want you to submit yourself to them, to overly give yourself to them, to step out of yourself, to comply. And if there is a God in this world, in this universe, it loves everyone, and you are perfect the way you are. You can believe whatever you want to believe, because that's your birthright. We do not have to believe the same thing. You do not have to put your identity out of yourself to submit. So you're gonna see that there will be some doubts about your belief system, and you might even switch religions, switch belief systems, because you feel that you haven't found somewhere that you belong to, like and ultimately it's all within you, because God is within you, right? And 9th house is also related to far away travel. So there is a feeling of you don't want to travel too far. Maybe you have a fear of traveling. You just prefer to stay home. And if you travel, you are have this anxiety that, will I catch the plane on time? Will I make it there? And it will be just really stressful for you to be in faraway places. It might be like you want to organize everything really well because you're afraid that the trip will not go well. The ninth house is also related to your study, so academic studies. It's related to more abstract studies. So on one hand, these curiosities about life might make you wonder and start to study something like it, like philosophy, like mindfulness and all these things. You want to find the meaning of life because you have a wounding that you don't feel you belong to any type of religion or God, and you want to find the answers. And it's like, there's something that you feel that you're never good enough person. You have to study more, you have to learn more, you want to know everything about philosophy, mythology, and it's almost like there's a never-ending study, but when you study it, you feel like it's not good enough. Did I excel enough? Do I have enough high grades? Did I... It's hard for you to express it sometimes or teach people, because Sagittarius is a teacher, and you're like, can I teach people? Can I, do I say the right words? So you have to learn that all that you know, Sagittarius is inner knowing. All that you know is within you. So all that you know is within you, and you don't need to seek it elsewhere. And that's going to be your ultimate lesson, with Chiron in Sagittarius and Chiron in the ninth house, okay? You're gonna be a seeker, but ultimately it's all within you. So let's move on now to Chiron in the 10th house, or Chiron in Capricorn. So first of all, Capricorn is related to government, it's related to the father, and it's related to your career. And what happens is that there might be a wounding with your father. He might have been too strict or not strict at all. There might have been no rules, and maybe you were with someone that you had to take care of. Maybe you had to take care of your father, and you kind of wanted someone to discipline you or someone to guide you and tell you like, hey, go for your goals, go for your dreams. And that kind of didn't happen. So it leaves you with a wounding that whatever you do, whatever work, whatever goals you have, it's never high enough. So we're gonna have the typical underachiever or overachiever with this placement. Like, I work, but it's never good enough. Or there is this fear of being out there. 10th house is very related to being out there. And it's like, I'm just gonna stick to the 6th house, like a normal day-to-day job, because I'm afraid to really go for my ultimate goal. So you're gonna be afraid to put yourself out there. You don't really want the world to see you. You want to be under the radar. And there's always gonna be a pain that if you're in the center of attention, that you're gonna fail, or you don't have enough knowledge, you don't have enough structure. So you're always gonna try to do better. And maybe you're gonna overwork yourself because you feel like, I need to work more hours. Or you have a feeling, you don't work at all. So there's always this battle going on. This is also a typical placement, especially Chiron in the 10th house, can create someone that is a healer as a job. That is someone that is a therapist as a job. So you are passionately healing others. You want to make a career out of being a healer. And somehow you always feel that even though you might be the best healer in the world, you always feel that maybe you didn't do enough, that maybe you could have worked longer hours, you could have helped more people. And this leaves you always with a lack, this lack of masculine energy. Capricorn is a cardinal leading energy, wants to lead. So you have trouble being authority. And you might submit to authority, or you can be, but you don't want, you feel scared being that. Because you never had an example of that in your life, or you never Yeah, there was someone who you can have to deal with people that abuse authority and are not righteous when it comes to authority, and you just feel really allergic to it. You don't want to be in that position. You don't want to work for the government or for organizations that have anything to do with that. It's like almost like an anger or fear, or like, I don't want anything to do with that. So this is when Chiron is in the 10th house, and also in Capricorn. And Capricorn is also about delays. It's hard work. But when Chiron is there, it's, like I said, an underachiever or an overachiever. So yeah, that's my message for you. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel so we can spread awareness and you know, become more self-aware. I also do private readings. You find my email in the description box below. Let's move on to Chiron in Aquarius, or Chiron in the 11th house. So the 11th house or Aquarius are very much related to groups, the masses, humanity in its biggest form. And you will have a feeling that you want to help humanity, but you don't know how. It's like, I want to help as many people as possible. And you could become so selfless that you only work towards helping others. So you could become a member of an organization or a friend group, and you would be the one always organizing things. And people never value you for that. It's like having friends that have a lot of trouble, and you are there for them, and you help them a lot, and then they leave. They will abandon you. And in a way, there is a fear of abandonment, a fear of rejection from your friends. You feel like you're not unique enough, you don't have the qualities to be rebellious and to stand out from the crowd. So you will just lower yourself so you don't, you're not so seen in this group. You don't want to speak up, stand out. Maybe you're trying to cover yourself up or prevent wearing colors. But deep inside, you want to be like that. You feel like you have that within you. But it could be that you grew up in a situation where your parents were like, yeah, don't overdo that. I don't like rebels. I don't like people who are doing anything out of the box. So stay in the box, and that's where you have to be. So there is a feeling that you don't have this out of the box thoughts, that you can't be ahead of time. And maybe you even have a fear of the future, because Aquarius is very future oriented. And maybe you're so scared to look in the future that you just like, you just crash. You're like, okay, I don't want to know. And you might avoid groups in general. Like, you're going to be so scared that they will not accept you in a group that you might not even try. So you might be someone that's more of a loner, spending more time alone, and you find it so hard to connect with other people. So what you attract is people that really need you, and this ends up in this cycle that you keep attracting people that need your help. So yeah, that's for Chiron in the 11th house or Chiron in Aquarius. So let's now go to Chiron in Pisces or Chiron in the 12th house. And this is a very painful aspect. It makes you sometimes completely forget about yourself, being so selfless, maybe doing a lot of voluntary work. You're forgetting about reality. It's like you forget about this whole materialistic world. This could be someone that is completely detaching, could become some kind of meditator that is more detached from the world and can heal other people through selfless service. It's also a fear of, you want to be alone, but also there is a wounding of being alone. It kind of hurts being alone. You would like someone to almost rescue you and be there for you. But for some reason that never happens. It's like, because subconsciously you're not putting a place for yourself in this world. It's like you're not counting yourself as someone. And this can have to do with past lives. So 12th house is very much related to past lives. So there is something karmic that happened in a past life where you felt that you don't have a right to exist. It's like you feel invisible or not seen, like people don't see you for who you truly are. And you can really work with this placement by meditation, by spirituality, by creating art, and really dive into this Neptunian energy. Be very much aware that you don't start to use substances or overly shop or create some type of addiction, because with this placement you will see that a lot of people who have this placement, they either grew up with parents with addiction or they become addicted themselves, and this comes from past life experience that was so painful that subconsciously they're trying to dam this pain and numb it by taking alcohol, taking substances. And when you overcome this, you can become a coach for other people. So you would be a spiritual guide for others on how to overcome. And it's not just addiction, it's also a feeling of being inadequate. It's really hard for you to grasp who you are. It's like, I want to be by myself, I want to be a loner, but I also want someone to come and rescue me from this situation. It could be that you spent a lot of time in a hospital when you were little. So you maybe you had some illness or a disease and you spend a lot of time there, and you create now some kind of fear for hospitals or prisons. And yeah, you're trying to avoid to go to the doctor or to really take care of yourself. It's like you're forgetting about you. So it's super important that you do your sports, that you eat healthy, and that you really acknowledge yourself, because you sometimes have so much compassion for the universe, for the world, that you just not count yourself in. You just give. And this will end up you having long periods being at home, or long periods where you get ill because you only give. So now it's time to really heal this wound in you and find a good balance between rest, being with others, doing your work, and also valuing yourself for your work. Okay? It's like this sometimes lack of identity. Like, who am I? Am I this? Am I part of the universe? Am I part of the multiverse? And you will have a lot of questions that you would like to answer. There is this almost this gap in you that with answers, you want answers about certain things. Like, you know that there's more to life, but how do I feel that way? And it's like almost you're scared to dive into it because it's such a big subject. So you can become a beautiful healer, meditator, whatever feels or even help humanity, like a Mother Teresa. You can become celibate and really help a lot of people. Whatever it is, do not give everything away. Do not lose the aspect of earth, because Pisces is in the ethereal, I don't know how you call it, but it's flying in the universe. And you might have out-of-body experiences. You might have had a lot of vivid dreams, and you're really scared of this aspect of yourself. You might have had visions of painful experiences, maybe from past lives even, but there are things that you kind of keep hidden and you don't express to the world. Some things that you feel, but you will not show that to other people. So going into these pains, and also acknowledge that sometimes there is more than we perceive, and dare to look into that, you can start your healing process. And you know, depending on when you watch this video, now we have Saturn transiting in Pisces, so that would be right on your Chiron, which is very painful. Don't panic if that's the case. It's about finding your inner spirituality and finding a balance between giving and receiving, and not hiding out or not always like avoiding being alone, because this is also sometimes Chiron in the 12th house doesn't want to be alone and is very restless and going everywhere besides, you know, resting when you need to. So this is my message for you. If you like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment below how this resonates with you, and I hope to see you next time. Thank you. I so appreciate you.